Hello， 大家好啊！歡迎大家翻嚟收睇由 Joy Asia 主持嘅直播，我係 Vanessa。
我係 Evan，Hello， 大家好。今日Vanessa， 我哋今日咧其實就同大家講澳洲喎。咁咧其實澳洲咧，我哋即係一直都有，之前都有做過啊。都有唔同嘅城市啦。咁其實今日咧我哋就比較特別啲，我哋其實咧就諗住一次過咧就同大家咧就講下澳洲唔同城市究竟有啲乜嘢嘅即係樓盤或者項目可以介紹俾大家。咁當然啦，除咗項目之外咧，咁我哋咧亦都想同大家亦都分享下而家究竟喺嗰個法律上啦，因為其實大家買樓啦，其實即係或者去移民啊，或者可能去買樓啦，其實都牽涉到好多 legal 啊、法律啊、稅務啊，或者可能係一啲即係移民諮詢嗰個問題啊。咁所以其實我哋今日咧，其實今日嘅節目就比較特別啲，我哋咧就我講下而家澳洲而家點啦。咁其實講下啲即係 legal side 嘅嘢啦，亦都講下我哋嗰個即係移民政策。因為我相信其實可能如果大家都有即係香港朋友有留意開澳洲移民嘅話，其實亦都知道咧，其實嗰個移民法咧其實都有啲更新啦。咁我哋咧有見及都想同大家都即係同大家分享下
啦，可能俾多啲資訊大家啦。咁所以其實今日即係澳洲咁大啦，咁主要通常大家比較熟悉可能就悉尼啊、Melbourne 啊，咁但係今日咧都會即係可能因為其實移居啊、留學啊或者投資等等咧，即係可能大家都想留意多啲唔同城市啦。咁所以可能我哋今日Queensland 啊同埋其他州咧，我哋都會係啦，我哋都會講到嘅。
係啊，咁所以其實咧今日嗰個節目非常之豐富，咁其實咧大家咧就唔好錯過啦。咁或者我哋咧都會即係我知道可能大家好多問題啊。其實有陣時大家都知啦，即係喺海外投資啦、海外買樓啦，其實咧都有好多唔同嘅問題啊。咁我哋今日頭先都有提到啦，我哋今日同大家咧就會去高呼下，究竟係即係喺法律上啦，喺我嘅移民政策嗰度啊，之後去到買樓呢幾即係好多樣嘢。咁大家如果有啲乜嘢問題或者啲咩想知咧？咁其實咧而家可以喺我哋嗰個即係留言，即係 Facebook comment box 啦留言啦。咁我哋都話俾我哋聽，其實你想問啲咩問題？咁我哋去到咧即係直播嘅，即係差唔多嘅直播時間啦。我哋都會即係將你嘅問題咧，就同我哋嘅嘉賓咧就去問翻㗎。咁希望可以都即係解答到大家嗰個問題咯。係啦，咁同埋咧，我哋都知道啦，我哋即係大家唔同，即係無論係即係投資啦、買樓啦、移民啦，或者好多樣嘢咧，其實都有自己唔同嘅要求啊。咁所以其實咧都會即係建議翻大家都揾翻啲專業人士。咁所以咧當然啦，揾專業人士之外咧，都希望我哋今日可以即係做呢個直播，分享大家嘅資訊咧，可以做俾我一個即係比較實用啲嘅參考啦，係啦。咁當然啦，都多謝大家收睇我哋呢個直播啦。咁同埋希望都可以即係支持我哋嘅 Joy Asia Hong Kong 啦。咁有啲乜嘢你都可以私信我哋嘅，係啦。咁所以其實我哋今日咧頭先都話，我哋今日講咗好多嘢，同埋亦都有唔同嘅直播啦。咁其實呢個點解會有咁多嘅即係項目喺唔同嘅地方？因為我哋本身今日咧就好即係都好榮幸邀請到咧喺澳洲一個比較大嘅，即係都其中一個好大嘅發展商就係 Frasers Property 啦。咁其實 Frasers Property 咧，其實喺澳洲嚟講咧，都係一個比較即係嗰個聲譽啦，同埋嗰個規模咧都係好大啊。咁所以咧，我哋就所以點解我哋今日咧就集齊咗咁多佢哋喺唔同嘅，即係喺澳洲唔同嘅城市嘅項目啦，可以推介，可以同大家去分享下咯。係啦，咁我哋咧即係事不宜遲啦。咁不如我哋咧就介紹我哋今日第一位嘉賓上嚟先。係啦。咁我哋呢個嘉賓咧，其實咧佢就係 Frasers Property 咧佢嘅International Sales Director。咁其實咧Robert 咧，其實一陣都會同我哋去講下，其實究竟即係而家有啲澳洲其實而家大家咁都會有興趣澳洲嘅物業啦。咁其實究竟喺未來呢一年2021年，究竟其實佢會有啲乜嘢
環球市場啦，係啦，佢都同我哋分析一下啦。
係啦。好，我哋介紹出嚟先。Hello Robert。
Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, good. And would you like to say hello to our Hong Kong audience first and introduce yourself?
Yes, indeed. Well, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Really good to be here. My name is Robert Pearce. I'm the International Sales Director for Frasers Property Australia. And I'll be kicking off by giving you an update on the current Australia residential market and also a little bit of introduction to Frasers Property Australia and the wider the wider group of Frasers as well.
Yep. And so we know that you are going to like give us some like insights or the forecast of the like Australian property in 2021. So may we start now? Yeah.
Absolutely, let's go. So just to set the agenda for everybody, because it's not just me, we have a panel of experts on the webinar today, each from different areas of the Australian real estate ecosystem. So I'll be briefly introducing Frasers to start in Australia. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the current trends that we see in the Australian residential property market, and also what we expect the outlook to look like over the next 6 to 12 months. When I have finished that, we will be handing over to Roland Voon, principal at Lloyd Meridian Legal, based in Melbourne, who will be reviewing the legal advantages when purchasing a property in Australia. Roland, a lot of experience in his field, multinational experience, really looking forward to hearing from Roland. And then we'll be passing to Sarah Thapper, Managing Director of the Migration Agency, one of Australia's international top migration agents, with her advice and review of that particular section of the market. Very, very pleased to have Sarah's expertise on this panel as well. Following that, we will actually be going live to Australia, to a number of different states and a number of different projects where our Australian property sales managers on site at the projects in Brisbane, Sydney, Perth and Melbourne will be bringing you live footage of the projects today, which is very exciting. And of course, following that, and to end, to bring the webinar to a close, we're going to have a good Q&A session. So anybody with any questions, no matter how trivial they may seem, please do put your questions to us, and we'll be very happy to answer them.
Yeah, and thank you, Robert, for our today the introduction of our agenda today. And we also mentioned to our Hong Kong audience watching our live now, if they have any questions or inquiries, just feel free to comment in our comment box in our Facebook chat room, and we will collect them, and we will raise the question to you guys during our Q&A sections. Yep. Okay, so we are so excited because we just talk about today's webinar is very special because before normally all the live program we're doing focusing on one city or one specific projects, but as we know that Frasers Property is one of the biggest developers and real estate agents in Australia, and of course they have quite many worth to introduce the project to our Hong Kong buyers. So that's why we're excited to introduce not only the project showcase, but also other relevant information to them, such as legal side or the migration side. Yep. Thank you. So thank you, Robert. So what do you think about the Australian property in the 2001? Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great place to start. Thank you. And if you could just go to the next slide, I think it would be a really good opportunity to expand on your introduction of Frasers Property or Frasers Property Australia, because there's such a huge amount of history to our business. We have been developing property in Australia for over 90 years, and there's not a lot of developers around the world who could say that they've been developing property for that amount of time. So we have a huge history of experience and track record over over Australia, over multiple markets in Australia. And Frasers Property Australia is part of the global Frasers Property Group. And Frasers Property globally is a multinational, multidiscipline developer operating across 5 asset classes. So, of course, residential is a huge part of it, but we're also developing retail, commercial, business park assets, industrial assets, logistic and hospitality. So we are truly a multidisciplined operator and actually active in over 80 countries. And Australia is a huge and very, very important part of our business. We actually have 23 active projects in Australia right now, and you can see these on the visual, on the infographic on screen now. So we are operating in Queensland, Southeast Queensland, Brisbane, to be precise, down in New South Wales, Sydney and suburbs, Victoria, Melbourne focused, and in WA, Western Australia, focused around Perth. And as you see from the infographic, the majority of our business is residential development. And we are a developer that builds property for generations, for families, for the domestic market, and to create communities.
Yep, thank you, Robert. And 頭先 Robert 啱啱同我哋都講咗啦，其實 Frasers Property 咧，其實佢即係都喺澳洲好多年啦，咁其實超過90年啦。咁啊，其實咧即係佢喺其實唔單止澳洲啦，其實佢好多其他地方都有佢個項目啊。咁但係如果我哋講喺澳洲嘅話咧，其實佢都即係而家都有即係都有超過23個嘅項目而家係進行緊啦。咁其實咧佢亦都咧提供咗超過16萬嘅即係房屋租俾即係俾買家㗎。咁其實而家見到咧，其實就係佢哋而家即係喺澳洲，其實喺見到都有唔同嘅省份啦，唔同嘅省份都有佢哋嗰個嘅項目啊。咁啊當然啦，其實唔單止係 residential 當然係佢哋好重要嘅一環啦。咁啊，但係其實唔單止 residential 嘅，即係其實佢哋嗰個喺零售啦，或者可能係個項目，其實佢都有包括咯。咁所以我哋即係呢個都即係可以話俾大家聽，其實佢即係其實都係一直亦都係一個都好受到大家即係好信心嘅一個 developer 同埋一個非常之有 reputation 咯。咁我哋其實可以加翻時間繼續交俾 Robert 可以繼續同我哋去介紹咯。Over to you, Robert. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So let's take a look at the current status of the Australian market, which is very very interesting to observe in this particular global climate. I think the first thing that we should look at is really putting the Australian residential market into context and how residential real estate underpins Australia's wealth as a whole. So as you will see from the slide, in terms of asset value, residential real estate accounts for 7 trillion Australian dollars. And that is in comparison to Australian superannuation, for example, which contributes $2.9 trillion. Australian listed stocks, so anything that you see on the markets, that's coming in at $2 trillion, and commercial real estate with $1 trillion. So this really shows you what a huge section of the market residential real estate represents, and that number relates to around about 10.5 million residential dwellings, residential units. Around 1.85% of that 7 trillion is debt. So that's around about 26% of total residential housing value is debt, which in comparison to other international markets is very low, any lower than 30%, and really that is a good sign. And at the moment, and certainly over the last 12 months, it's accounted of that sales, or the sales number per annum, accounts to around about 400,000 total sales per year, total transactions per year across the country. And that transaction volume in numbers translates to just short of 300 billion in terms of sales value per annum. So really to put the picture to you, to really explain how important residential real estate is versus other sources of Australian wealth, it's very plain to see from this slide. Next slide, please.
Yep.
We really want to show you today how well the Australian residential market has rebounded after suffering a number of headwinds, as all international markets have done over the past 12 to 18 months. The Australian market has been incredibly resilient, certainly in comparison to markets like the US and the UK, markets in Europe, even markets in Asia itself. We look back now over the last 12 to 24 months, and the Aussie market residential market has been incredibly resilient. And actually right now what we're experiencing is the continuation of a recovery trend in housing values. And that's pretty much across the board, with the combined capitals in Australia, the state capitals, recording a value increase of just under 1% over the last quarter. And this is a trend that we see as ongoing. Certainly, this data was measured up until December of last year, but actually, anecdotally, our own experience in the market right now in Queensland, New South Wales, WA, and Victoria is that we are seeing activity levels higher than they've been in years for residential property. So we expect this trend to continue, certainly over the next 2 to 3 quarters. Next slide, please.
Yep.
Again, part of the recovery trend is quite plain to see when we measure the individual housing market, the individual cities on a annual and quarterly basis. So the housing markets in each of those cities have already entered a recovery trend, and 7 out of the 8 state capitals are recording and have recorded a rise in home values throughout the last quarter of 2020. Again, you can see on the ground now the activity that we are measuring, that we are seeing in each one of the developments that we are managing and that we're building into market, a huge increase in the amount of both domestic and also international inquiries. And that has been for a number of reasons. The Australian government has introduced some very sensible stimulus, some very sensible stimuli and good individual stimulus measures, which has encouraged the Australian domestic market to buy and sell property. And that has really underpinned and supported the growth in the property market that we've seen coming through really since the mid part of last year. And we're expecting that, as I say, to continue certainly over the next couple of quarters. So it's really a very stable picture in comparison to international markets at the moment. And most analysts will tell you that in terms of outlook, in terms of growth outlook for Australian residential over the next 3 to 4 quarters is positive. And in some cases, anywhere from 5 to 10% over that time period, which I think if you compare to other international markets is actually very, very attractive.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert, to talk about why Australian properties are being so attractive and play an important role in no matter is like Australian local market is our main source of the wealth. And no matter like during the COVID-19, like especially in the 2020, and we can see that the property price dropping is not that serious, like as when compared to other countries like US or or other countries. So those figures that Robert just showed us to show that the confidence of the buyer like still in Australia. So that's why we can now see that the property price under the trend is going up and going to positive. And of course we can see there's a continuous increasing the demand and the pricing and the price in the 2021. Yep. Thank you, Robert, for sharing us today. And also, so what's next? Thank you, Robert. Yep. 係啦，咁我同大家都可以講翻啦。其實就係啱啱咧Robert 同我哋講咗，就係點解澳洲其實佢嗰個即係佢嗰個趨勢咧，或者可能係佢嗰個吸引力點解仲會喺度啦？咁其實佢由佢嗰個數字都話到俾我哋聽啦，就係其實喺澳洲嚟講啦，其實佢嗰個房地產行業咧係即係都係一個相當重要嗰個位置啊喺嗰度。咁尤其是就係喺嗰個住宅項目方面啦。咁其實住宅項目其實亦都佔咗好重嘅比例。咁其實雖然啦，頭先都有提到就係雖然舊年係有 COVID-19 啦，咁其實當然啦，環球嗰個市場其實都受到一定程度嘅影響。咁開頭咧其實都係有一啲即係下降，咁但係就由可能由舊年下半年開始啦，或者可能甚至就係由舊年即係 Q4 開始啦。咁其實佢嗰個即係升翻啲上嚟啊。咁所以其實咧佢嗰個吸引力嗰個位就係其實大家即係我相信都有好多其他嘅因素啦。咁其實咧即係佢呢個咁嘅即係升翻上嚟咧，其實亦都係代表咗咧，其實好多即係海外嘅買家或者係本地買家，其實佢嗰個信心都喺度嘅，即係因為就係有個需求咯。
只不過係疫情啦，咁但係住屋其實都係一個必須要嘅一個即係一樣嘢啦，係啦。咁所以同埋因為即係可能疫情關係啦，有機會即係可能嗰啲失業率啊，或者即係可能一啲本身係 local 嘅一啲住戶，佢哋都想可能搬去一個比較即係低成本就可以生活到嘅城市啦。咁可能佢哋自己本身當地人都會即係可能去其他省啊，去買一啲房產，即係唔單止係海外我哋即係海外人士嘅投資。
即係無論本地無論本地或者香港都係有需求啦。咁啊，同埋其實頭先 Robert 都提到就係其實政府咧，其實佢都有好多嗰啲措施咧，其實去即係都係刺激翻嗰個樓市，同埋或者係幫到即係幫下啲買家。咁其實咧，我亦都其實過去嗰一大半年嚟咧，其實都聽到好多例話，可能喺澳洲政府可能即係最一個簡單嘅例子，可能就維多利亞省啦。咁維多利亞省其實之前咧都同可能大家都睇我哋嘅直播咧都有講過，就係佢哋其實喺11月嗰陣時咧就提出咗就係佢嗰個印花稅咧，其實就係減半啦。咁其實咧，其實即係其中呢個就係其中一個例子啦。咁啊，其實可能有其他嘅即係其他嗰個措施啦，其實都係帶到出嚟，就係澳洲政府其實佢非常之重視即係呢個房產業啦。咁啊，同埋亦都有好多嘅嘢佢哋都做出嚟，都希望可以去幫到呢一個嘅行業咯，同埋刺激翻佢樓市，即係唔好俾佢即係唔好即係因為呢個疫情而影響得太緊要啊。咁所以其實我哋即係都明白大家即係都可能都好關心啦。其實我如果即係直況我哋香港朋友啦，其實又即係大家都會知道就係嗰個尤其是澳洲政府佢都有放寬咗移民條例。咁其實大家都即刻都會去諗啦。我投資又好，移民又好，咁其實都係一個即係澳洲都係大家一個經常都會我如果我想即係住一個地方生活，或者可能我要投資嘅，可能都會諗起澳洲咯。
係啦，咁所以可能好多時我哋去移民啊，或者移民啊，或者可能投資嘅話，都會涉及到好多即係可能法律嘅問題啦。即係可能因為始終我哋人生路不熟啊，即係可能如果去到嗰邊應該揾邊一啲人去幫手咧，或者有啲乜嘢係需要即係去到法律嗰邊嘅一啲顧問去幫我哋處理咧。咁我哋接住落嚟都有一位嘉賓就上嚟同我哋傾下偈啦。咁同埋頭先都啱啱見到有觀眾就問有冇近即係可能係海岸區嘅一啲 項目啦，咁係有嘅，咁所以就 keep 住留意我哋之後咧，因為我哋完咗呢2 part 嘅講座之後咧，咁我哋就會有一個即係唔同地方嘅房產項目介紹啦，係啦，咁可以密切留意嘅。好。
我哋介紹呢個嘉賓先。咁啊，嘉賓咧 Roland 咧，其實識大家講廣東話嘅，係啦。咁其實咧，大家頭先都有提過啦，就係即係啱啱我哋啱啱都講咗，其實澳洲點解都用，但係大家對澳洲嘅即係對澳洲嘅國家啦、城市啦，佢個即係個房產咧都好有信心啊。咁其實講真，如果去到買樓啦，或者係點咧，點都係一定要經過法律嘅問題，或者可能係即係 legal 啊、contract 嗰啲。咁所以其實我哋即係今日咧就即係邀請到 Roland 同我哋去即係講解多啲咯。Hello Roland。
係，你好。
Hello，交台介紹下你自己先啊。
咁我係 Roland，馬拉華僑。咁我啲廣東話咧講到走少少音咧，千祈唔好介意啦嚇。
唔介意。
喺澳洲都做律師都成20幾年啦。咁大部分都係代表外埠嘅投資者啦。唔止香港、馬拉、新加坡、印尼都會有啦。咁佢哋平時碰到啲問題、擔心啲嘢，我哋都比較了解啦。同本地嘅投資者就有少少唔同嘅諗法啦。咁我哋啲投資者咧都唔止投資澳洲啦，有其他國家，咁我都可以了解下少少唔同國家嘅法律嘅分別啦。咁今日就講翻澳洲咯。
係，咁因為我哋都知道咧，其實佢即係大家買樓啦，即係其實講即係大家都 keep 住咁隔山買牛。咁啊，始終我哋香港即係買樓個程序同澳洲係真好相似，不過係總係有啲唔同㗎。咁啊，大家即係有時即係始終又唔係尤其是今年或者呢2年啦，都未必飛到過去澳洲嘅話咧，其實當我哋去買嗰時，即係法律上嘅問題，當然大家都會非常之注意啊。咁所以其實咧，阿 Roland 同我哋講，即係講下究竟有啲咩注意嘅地方，或者我哋而家即係喺澳洲買樓嘅話，因為可能有啲朋友咧就都比較熟悉啦，因為 keep 住有留意開。咁但係我哋都有啲新朋友都想知道，其實喺澳洲買樓究竟啲乜嘢我哋係需要注意嘅，或者係有啲乜嘢嘅建議，可能你俾到我哋大家咯。
好。OK， 咁我開始啦。
係，唔該晒。
OK。Alright， so 投資喺澳洲咧，第一樣嘢需要了解咧，就係佢係有聯邦政府同埋州政府嘅，咁佢哋嘅 focus 同埋佢哋啲例係少少唔同嘅。咁聯邦政府嗰方面咧，就譬如話外埠嘅投資者咧，總之係冇澳洲身份咧，就需要經過呢個叫 FIRB approval， 咁先可以投資嘅。咁每個州咧都會有佢自己嘅手續啊，同埋啲例。咁好多時有少少唔同啦，但係最緊要咧，有啲嘢係全澳洲都係一樣嘅啲例。咁呢個咧今日我係講翻其中一個啦，呢個我覺得係最重要嘅。呢個 feature 同其他國家，譬如話英國、香港、馬來西亞波咧，就完全唔同嘅。同埋呢個 feature 就可以話我碰到咁多買家最擔心咧，平時係2樣嘢。第一咧就驚爛尾嘅情況啦，爛尾貨情況啦。咁另外咧就擔心學你話齋隔山賣牛啊嘛，驚發展商執笠點好。所以呢個係2個最擔心嘅問題啦。咁 OK 咁。但係澳洲就有呢個 feature， 就你可以話呢個淨係呢一個 feature 可以話解決咗大部分呢啲問題啦。咁呢個 feature 就係佢有一個付款嘅方法咧，就係 1090， 即是話你擺訂金開始買簽咗嗰陣時擺個訂金，之後等到收樓先俾個 balance 嘅90%，中間段時間你係唔需要供啊，唔需要俾其他錢嘅，就類似係啦，類似 cash on delivery 啦，呢個貨到付款咁嘅方法嚟做嘢啦。所以呢個就我可以話全澳洲嘅最重要嘅 property 嘅 feature 就係呢個 feature。OK， 麻煩你可以 next slide 睇下。係 OK， 咁依家講翻個 general procedure 啦。咁開始簽個約啦。同埋最尾就係收樓嗰陣時啦。咁開始投呢個10%啦。 OK， 咁呢筆錢咧就訂金咧就擺喺發展商律師嘅信託戶口嘅。咁呢筆錢咧，發展商係唔可以喐嘅，唔可以掂，唔可以攞嚟用嘅。到收樓為止啦，變咗係啲買家擔心話發展商執笠點好啊？呢樣嘢係唔使驚，因為個錢咧發展商冇掂過嘅，係發展商真係執笠嚟講啊。你嗰個一般嚟講係發展商執笠咧，就會出現個會計師，我哋叫 liquidator，咁佢嘅工作就盡量儲翻多啲錢俾啲銀行，但係個訂金咧唔係屬於發展商噶嘛，咁呢個訂金包括埋訂金當時賺到啲利息咧，都其實係要退翻俾個買家嘅。
係，呢個都有啲相似啦。因為香港我哋買樓咧，其實都係都會經即係律師做中間人啦。咁其實我哋所有嗰啲 deposit 啦、大訂啦，即係香港要大訂啦，其實所有嘅錢咧都係會喺即係去咗個律師行度先嘅，即係嗰個即係好似你話而家嗰個信託或者個 trust 嗰個 account。咁佢真係去到最後真係settlement 啦，真係去做去收樓啦。咁其實咧先會呢嚿錢咧先會由個 trust account 咧就轉去俾即係當然啦係買即係俾錢個即係買家 approve 咗啦，律師都睇過晒冇問題啦。咁之後先再係會將錢俾翻即係俾交付俾嘅發展商嗰度咯，係啦。
係啦，所以但係中間嗰段時間咧就唔需要俾任何 progress payment， 呢個就另外一個 feature， 因為好多時係有 progress payment 咧，啲發展商起到某啲地步咧，佢就可以 access 嗰筆錢啊嘛。咁喺澳洲呢個1090咧，佢起到一半都好，佢唔可以掂任何其他錢嘅，所以呢個就比較特別啲，變咗呢個情況變咗個發展商咧係。唔會專登拖時間，因為佢完全冇利益嘅，反正佢起得越快越好啦。但係佢起得幾快都好啦。始終收樓之前咧，發展商一定要俾到兩樣嘢啦。第一咧就係嗰張地契一定要係出咗，要 register 咗。另外咧個入伙紙都係要出咗。咁我哋得到呢兩樣嘢，我哋先會交易嘅。所以呢個係其中一個少啲手尾跟咯，咁做法。咁另外咧，大部分啲州咧喺澳洲咧都係永久業權嘅契嘅，所以我哋會見到嗰張契同埋個入伙紙，我哋先會去交易咯。咁中間就冇交換錢，就比較secure 啲，係啦。係，
咁呢個其實咧都見到就係即係比較保護買家多少少啊。即係其實你話即係10至即係10。即係點講啊？10%，即係10、90呢一個啦。咁啊10當然就係嗰個 deposit 啦。咁啊其實就佢嗰個90就係到最後真係收樓嗰陣時先嗰個即係最後最大個 down payment 咯。係啦。係。咁我想問下，其實咧即係如果我哋真係去即係有香港朋友想買澳洲嘅樓啦，咁啊首先第一樣嘢，咁佢會揾律師嘅話，咁其實當然梗係即係揾翻即係相熟啦，或者可能係有翻咁上下經驗啦，就好似 Rowan 你咁啦，即係揾翻你幫我哋做即係同大香港嘅朋友去做一個嘅嗰個手續。咁所以其實即係有冇啲咩建議可以俾到香港買家，即係例如話，佢除咗啱啱頭先你講嘅即係嗰個即係注意事項之外咧，咁其實有啲乜嘢，例如話可能喺個合約上面係都係要注意下嘅咧。
或者你可能你有咁多年經驗啦，有冇一啲即係可能經驗之談可以分享下俾我哋香港嘅觀眾啊？
咁海外買家咧，其實點講咧？澳洲呢方面啊。就比較 transparent 啲，即是話佢唔會話一般嚟講啦，唔會話有兩個價錢啊，因為好多啲買家直情可以打個電話俾朋友就可以 check 清楚呢樣嘢，所以澳洲嘅做法就比較正常啲，比較 normal 啲。條件嗰方面咧就要睇個律師咯，因為我哋第一樣嘢會注意咧就係呢份合約有乜嘢同平時嚟講有咩唔同嘅。譬如話有啲買賣就依家就開始唔俾啲 Airbnb 啲 short stay 啦，咁都係要同個買家講一聲，因為有可能佢哋嘅投資嘅諗法係唔同，所以就要呢啲細 你嘅條件就要注意咯。有啲淨係買地嚟起樓，要打算譬如話有啲人打算話我將來要間開2間添，嗰啲就要睇翻嗰個 property 俾唔俾你咁做咯。所以呢啲就到時候我哋同個買家斟咗之後，發覺都有呢個打算定係咩，我哋先再解釋咯。
明白，咁其實咧都聽阿 Roland 咁講啦，即係其實咧即係由由你嘅客戶啦，由即係你同接觸你嘅客戶開始啦，即係其實由唔單止淨係收佢錢擺喺個 trust account，或者幫你準備份合約你簽啦，其實你好多頭先聽你咁講，其實有好多建議啦，或者好多你會問得好清楚，就係其實你有冇咁做啊，或者可能其實呢一個合約或者一個項目上面有啲需要注意嘅地方，即係你話可能買塊地或者可能買個 apartment，其實係唔俾你間好似劏房咁間出嚟嘅，
可能要睇翻嗰一個項目嘅有冇咩特別要求啦，或者可能你買地起樓同買 apartment 又唔同。
係啊，咁所以即係透過 Roland 頭先咁講，就係其實即係你哋律師嘅律師事務所啦，其實係基本上係除咗去準備呢個合約啦，即係 operation 啦，但係其實所有嗰啲建議咧，其實都會一條龍服務，都係會幫到個買家咯，因為都知道其實佢哋喺香港啦，其實都可能都比較擔心，同埋可能有好多都係需要即係 Roland 你哋去幫手，就係即係 remind 多啲啊，做多啲 reminder 依嘢到時候要咁做啦，到時係咁做啦，呢啲要注意啦。咁我相信其實即係令到即係買家安心啲咯。
同埋始終同聲同氣啦，咁可能溝通上面啊都會比較方便啲咯。即係有啲咩可以表達得更加直接係。
係明白。咁所以其實如果香港朋友啦，其實如果大家都即係都有呢個即係考慮去喺澳洲買樓啦，或者可能喺法律上面亦都係有任何問題或者需要諮詢嘅話咧，其實都歡迎咧可以留言俾我哋啦。咁其實咧我哋都非常之樂意可以咧即係介紹大家問題係啦，同埋介紹 Roland 俾大家嘅。係
啦，同埋我哋都將即係嘅嘉賓資料咧，都有一個 general 嘅 contact，我哋會擺喺 Facebook 嘅 comment box 嘅。咁如果大家有咩可能深入啲嘅問題想問佢哋咧，除咗可以喺 comment box 度留言，都可以直接聯絡佢哋咯。
好，今日就唔該晒 Roland 先啦。好，唔該晒。係啦，今日啱啱咧就Roland 同我哋講咗即係法律上嗰個問題啦。咁呢個就關於比較買樓啊。咁咧，我嚟緊咧就同大家講下，大家都其中一個非常之關心嘅問題。咁大家點解要買樓咧？除咗投資之外，就係諗住移居啦。咁移居嘅話咧，其實即係澳洲嗰個即係移民條例，其實每一年咧，可能大家都有少少發覺就通常7月都係會有啲轉啦，或者可能其實係佢尤其是舊年啦，其實都有好多放寬嘅，即係放寬咗嘅嗰個移民政策都有唔同啦。咁同埋之前如果真係有留意開嘅話，其實都知道即係嗰個 visa 咧，其實都係有好多款嘅唔同嘅，即係可能投資有幾種啊，或者可能即係可能佢哋唔同嘅門檻啊，亦都有唔同啊。咁同埋其實我哋嚟緊究竟今年有啲乜嘢嘅新嘅 update 咧？咁其實我哋咧嚟緊咧都會介紹位嘉賓出嚟咧，就係喺移民顧問公司㗎。咁其實佢都會同佢講下澳洲嘅移民佢嗰個而家個政策最新 update 啦，同埋其實佢而家